My amplified unit. Salute. Top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Salute. It is time to wake up, get up, and get amplified. This is Amped Up with BC for Saturday, March 11th, 2023. I, of course, am your host, BC Amplified, and we have a packed show coming up, man. We're going to talk the Alexa Bliss WWE situation, the latest developments. It seems like they could not be further apart than where they are today. Alexa Bliss just sent out another statement, some comments just within the last 24 hours, enlightening everybody for the third time in a month, by the way, that the reason she's not on WWE TV, the reason she's gonna miss another Mania, has nothing to do with her. It's them, meaning WWE. How, and this is an ongoing situation, by the way, but how did we get to where we are now? How does it seem like it keeps getting worse instead of better? BC's gonna discuss all about it. If you're an Alexa fan, I know this totally sucks for you guys, but we're going to talk all about that coming up. We're also going to talk Saraya's new faction in AEW. They have a new name, Saraya, Toni Storm, and Ruby Soho. For a while, they were unofficially going by the Outsiders. But of course, that was Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and eventually Hulk Hogan from the NWO WCW days. So you can't just jack that name. Well, it seems like AEW is now confirming their new name. BC's going to tell you what it is. Does it fit them? Is it good? We're going to talk all about Saraya's new women faction's name with Toni Storm and Ruby Soho, man. That's all coming up. And of course, SmackDown for Friday, March 10th. Was this a Mania-worthy show, man? We're just 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. Did this show have everything to get you amped up? Yeah, eye of the beholder, bro. As a whole, the show didn't land for BC. There was the good, like Jey Uso explaining why he did what he did to Sami Zayn on Monday night. We got to see Cody Rhodes. Oh! Sami Zayn coming through the crowd. Jimmy getting lit up. I mean, that storyline kept on going in the right direction. Everything else, we have to talk about it because it truly is in the eye of the beholder. For instance, Viking Raiders had to win their match. I mean, they were one loss away from being in the island of exile because BC himself was going to exile them. I probably wasn't even going to review any more of their matches. What more? What more can you do to stifle the Viking Raiders, man? They come back 4 different times. We're told we're supposed to care about them, and they go right back into Jobberville. I mean, they were a loss away from being mayors with an S, 2 mayors of Jobberville. And it's a small township. But, I mean, that was a good booking decision. Then you get something weird like the first inductee into the WWE class of 2023's Hall of Fame. Guys, we're 22 days away at that point from last night. 22 days away from WrestleMania. And we didn't hear a damn peep about the Hall of Fame. There was no acknowledgement of the Hall of Fame. It was like they weren't even going to do it this year. And then they finally announced, 22 nights away, they finally announced the first inductee. Which, by the way, it's on a Friday, so that would actually be 7, 14, 21 nights away. Because it's on the 31st. It's right after SmackDown. So, first and foremost, tell me you don't care about the Hall of Fame without actually telling me you don't care about the Hall of Fame, right? 23 weeks away, 21 nights away, and you don't even acknowledge the motherfucker. And then when you finally announce the first inductee, it's a guy who is still on the active full-time roster. He's still wrestling. Of course. Booyaka, booyaka. Of course the guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's already a legend. Everybody in the industry respects the guy. We all love Ray. But damn, can you sit on it a little bit? Let the guy retire, let him have a few years, and then years down the road, he gets his big moment, right? We should let him have a big moment in the future. That's how Hall of Fames work. And they get to have a moment, right? Settle into retirement, and then have that big moment years down the road, right? in 2028. Michael Cole's like, and the first inductee of the 2028 Hall of Fame is, we fade to black and we hear booyaka, booyaka. And everybody's excited, right? To see Rey. We haven't seen him in years. How's retirement? How's life? It's going to be good to see him. I mean, this guy probably is going to be at next year's Mania still wrestling, for all we know. It seems like they're doing it for the storyline of Dominic. And that's how far the Hall of Fame has fallen, you know? Now we're just doing it for a storyline. The first inductee is 3 weeks before the actual event. I remember a time where they would announce the first guy around Royal Rumble in January. That's how much fun was put into the Hall of Fame. And now Ray is just going in, and it's befuddling. It's like they're just doing it for a storyline. The guy is still wrestling. You have to preserve those names, guys, because you're just throwing guys like Ray in there now as they're still wrestling. Who's the big names in the future that's going to be headline worthy? Who's going to turn your heads for a headliner in the future, right? Batista looks like he's going in this year or next year. If I'm Batista, I want nothing to do with the Hall of Fame until they correct it and make it prestigious again. But it looks like Batista is either this year or next year. Who's left? Jonathan Cena, Randall Orton, maybe Dwayne Johnson, and a couple of others, right? But for the most part, all the big legends, they're just going in as immediately. Undertaker says he's retired. You snap your fingers and he's already in the Hall of Fame. You couldn't have waited a few years, let people build the suspense to an Undertaker Hall of Fame induction? Let him enjoy retirement and have a cool fucking weekend to come back and enjoy that years down the road. That's what the Hall of Fame should be. We're just, now it's gotten to the point where you're not even retired and you're going in. It's fucking weird. You guys know it is. And it doesn't leave any suspense for the future, man. And we haven't built larger than life stars in the last 10 years. So I don't know who's headlining in the years to come. I really don't. Because the list is getting shorter and shorter. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Alexa thing, Saraya's new faction name. We're going to talk SmackDown. All of it is coming up, guys, in this very podcast. Do me a big favor, smash that up. Help out the algorithm. Deliver your favorite wrestling move to that like button. If it's a DDT, a Jake the Snake DDT, deliver that shit. Maybe it's an Alexa DDT. Give it a fucking Canadian Destroyer from the top rope, a sharpshooter, a pedigree, a Rollins stomp, an RKO out of nowhere. A 450, 720 inadverted Hurricanrana Tortellini splash. But smash that like button. BC's going to get a big swig of coffee, and we're going to start the show. Amplified style, baby. All right, so let's start with the Alexa Bliss news real quick, if you don't mind. So Alexa Bliss, twice now in the last several weeks, has told everybody that she did not ask for time off, which was it was the original reports. And Alexa wanted everybody to know that that's not the case, actually. She's waiting for the phone call. Literally, that's what she said. She's waiting patiently. She was told, go home, collect your paycheck every month, and we'll call you when we have something. Okay, she says, all right, no problem. But she wanted to, you could tell that enough time had passed to where even she was like, all right, what's going on here? To the point where she had to address it on her own social page. And then just within the last 24 hours, now it's a little bit more of a frustrated tone out of Alexa. She says, and I quote, this was just within the last 24 hours, and I quote from Alexa Bliss, Lexi Kaufman Cabrera, tired of seeing these tweets. I am not on a hiatus. They know where to find me. They meaning, of course, WWE. So she again says, tired of seeing these tweets. I am not on a hiatus. They know where to find me. Meaning WWE. Melty Boy and all them were rolling with the hiatus story here. Oh, it's just Alexa. She asked for time off. WWE gave it to her. This is now the third time where Lexi is saying, I am not on a hiatus. I did not ask for time. She before said I'm waiting by the phone. Now she's saying they know where to find. She is saying they know I'm ready to go. They are choosing not to use me on TV. They are choosing to leave me off Mania again. They know damn well I'm ready to go to work. And it goes to show you that WWE does not know, if it's not a title situation, they don't know really how to book a lot of their roster, especially when it comes to the females. Because if you're telling me that Alexa Bliss cannot have a storyline in WWE, that's complete bullshit. You have 3 hours on Monday nights. You have 2 hours on Friday nights. You can have a story for somebody who like Alexa, who's very versatile. Whether you like Alexa Bliss or not, whether you think she's a good wrestler or not, that's in the eye of the beholder. That's not what we're talking about. She has shown you that she can work storylines. She doesn't even need to be in a title picture, guys. The work she did with Bray Wyatt, whether you like it or not, whether you start talking supernatural or not, it worked. Not because some of us liked it, some of us didn't, but metrics-wise, numbers-wise, statistics, Alexa and Bray were at the top of the charts, showing you that for the majority of fans, they loved Bray Wyatt and Alexa. Merchandise, they were number one, even beating Roman Reigns on 2 separate occasions. When Alexa went away for a couple of months, the Lily doll, as stupid as I thought that Lily doll was number one still on WWE merchandise lists. How crazy is that? Bray Wyatt was the same thing. They kept selling Bray Wyatt merchandise even when Bray was released, by the way, and it was top 5 even months afterwards. Guys, I can't make this shit up. You look at metrics, you look at social media buzz, you look at platforms like this and viewership. Bray and Alexa together just worked. Now you have the funhouse where you hear a lady screaming, "Help me, help me." You hear this woman and people are thinking, Alexa's saying, "No, I'm not privy to any of this." They're teasing like it is. But they have not brought me to work. They have not shown me anything to be in this store. No, nothing. So even though you think it's me, that's cute. I would love it to be. Alexa has said many times she loved working with Bray. The dude's a genius. She learned so much. She would love to work with him again in the future. My point is, at the bare minimum, why would you not just have her with him then? If you have nothing for Alexa Bliss, it's clear that they're kind of going in a wishy-washy way with Bray. Right? So just add her. He's got Uncle Howdy, brought back Ramblin' Rabbit, Abby the Witch, Huskus the Pig. The fuck is it if you just add Alexa somehow? Or put her with Uncle Howdy? It's not that hard. Sit the fuck down, pen and paper, and you just start having fun with the creativity. There's no reason Alexa should be sitting home for 3 fucking months. Just weird. Again, if you don't like Alexa Bliss, you're like, I have no problem with this BC. She can sit at home for a whole year. I get it if you're just not a fan, right? We could say that about like Charlie Flair. But to say that there's not a place for her, or to just have these people sitting home collecting paychecks. AEW does the same thing with people like Miro, who said the same words as Lexi, by the way. I'm waiting for the phone call. It ain't coming. I'm ready to go back to work. You know, there's a lot of people in AEW that are frustrated because Tony Khan isn't giving them time. Well, it's people like Lexi who are saying, dude, I'm ready to go to work. And here you have all these reports that it's me that's requesting all these months off like I just don't want to work. It makes the wrestlers look like idiots. You know, there's got to be more transparency. And it reaches a boiling point where people like a Miro or Alexa Bliss, they finally say, all right, I'm making this public right now. I did not ask for time off. They know where to find me. They know I'm ready to come back to work. And it just seems like I said, this is the 3rd time now she's had to say something like this. And every time it seems like there's a little bit more frustration, a little bit more of a frustrated tone in the words that she's typing. You know what I mean? She literally says on this one, she starts it off saying, tired of seeing these tweets. She's tired of it, man. That's telling you she's frustrated. She wants to go back to work. Let's rock. BC has 10 different ways to bring her back on the TV. That does not step on anybody else's toes either, by the way. No other women in a title picture, no other women's storylines, which, by the way, there's basically none. If there's not a title involved, there is no women's storyline right now. And there should be 3 or 4, bro. It's one thing Shawn Michaels does do. I agree with my right-hand man on the channel, JR9. I mean, you watch one episode of NXT and you see 4 or 5 different stories going on with the ladies. So anyway, guys, that's the latest. If anybody was wondering what's up with Alexa, how much time did she ask off? She didn't ask for any. She's been home the whole time because there's just nothing for her. Also, guys, sticking with the ladies, but if we can switch over to the AEW side of things, Saraya has a new faction with Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. Their presentation is is that of outsiders, right? The WWE ladies who stormed into AEW. But because they were so botched, all of them since they debuted, now it just seems a little too forced to BC. And I know for a lot of you guys are saying the same thing. But they have a new name. Saraya, Ruby Soho, and Toni Storm are now going by the Outcasts. So they are now the Outcasts. I think that's the easiest name you could give them. You look at Saraya, you look at Ruby, and you look at Toni. Yeah, I can believe they're outcasts. So that's low-hanging fruit, you know. When you got all the when the minds are together, all three of them, maybe Toni, maybe a few other people, maybe the mastermind Christopher Daniels is back there. I don't know, but you have all the masterminds of AEW at a table. I mean, is that the best you could come up with? The Outcasts? I don't know. Sounds like a cheap B-rated television series or movie, but I can see it at least, you know? It's the obvious choice. Outcasts, a play on the outsiders. You know, we are the anti-AEW WWE females. How dare all of you turn your backs on us? We'll see. How do you guys feel about that name, the Outcasts? Do you think they're going to make a splash? Do you give a shit about them? Have they been booked horribly too much at the beginning? So it's kind of like, you're going to have to work twice, 10 times as hard to get over with this faction. Remains to be seen, man. I don't know. So far, they've done nothing to make BC give a damn. I mean, it's going to take more than... It's basically just a bootleg NWO, guys. Outsiders. Outcasts. Spray paint NWO. They're spray painting L on people's asses. It's just weird to me. I'm not into it. It's going to be a lot more booking-wise that's going to have to be done. But that's their new name, guys. It is official, it looks like. Outcasts. Tell me what you think about it. Now, for SmackDown, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into SmackDown 3/10/2023. This show starts off with Jimmy and Jey pulling up to the arena in a black SUV, and Paul Heyman is greeting them. Jey says, "Where's the tribal chief?" Paul avoids the question and gives Jey a big hug, saying the tribal chief is so proud of you, and so am I. But the hug is not reciprocated by Jey Uso. He still has a serious face, and he looks right at Paul and says, "When you find him, tell him I'm looking for him, or tell him I'm here," he said. And Paul's like, okay, I'll do that. And WWE did a good job last night. If Roman was not there last night, or if he was, it was a dark match because he was not on the show. And the way they made it seem was like Paul is going to go find Roman Reigns and deliver the message to Jey Uso. And by Jey asking, where is he? Like, where is he in the arena, you know? And the marketing for Jey is going to explain why he did what he did to Sami Zayn on Monday. The promotional for SmackDown had Jey next to Roman Reigns, as if Roman was going to be a part of the show last night. So they made people believe that Roman was going to show up at some point. Spoiler, he never showed up at one point last night. This was all about Jey and Jimmy. So that's how we started the show, man. Paul Heyman's a little nervous as to what Jey's going to say. Jey wants Paul to know that this isn't fun and games, and he wants Roman to know that he is there, and he's going to give his explanation later. So it was a good start. Then we go into the opening theme and signature. Then we go to the first match of the night, which is a fatal five-way number one contenders matchup for the IC title. So the winner of this fatal five-way is going to take on Gunther at WrestleMania. Gunther finally will know who his fucking opponent's going to be. Not so fast. The match itself consisted of Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross versus Xavier Woods versus LA Knight, versus Sheamus. Those are your five participants. It was a 23-minute match, bell to bell, with an old school referee conundrum finish. There was two referees. You don't see that often with WWE in these fatal five-way, six-way, whatever the fuck. But BC was thinking, before I saw the second referee on the outside, I was thinking, this is not fair to poor referee Jessica Carr. My favorite referee. My favorite referee in all of pro wrestling is Jessica Carr. And I felt so bad that she had to try to maintain order between these 5 dudes. And sure enough, during the match, a second referee slipped in to deliver a count because Jessica was preoccupied with 2 other participants. And you don't see that. And I was like, it's almost like WWE planted that on purpose because we're going to revisit that second referee later in the match. So sure enough, that's what happened. They wanted everybody to see the second referee and see that he does come in the count because that was going to play a pivotal part of the finish of this match. And sure enough, the finish saw Drew pin LA Knight at the same exact time that Sheamus pinned Xavier Woods. And I mean simultaneously to perfection, guys. Referee Jessica Carr and Jason Jackass. They timed it to a beautiful perfection. And by the way, the referee's name is not actually Jason Jackass. I just forgot who it was. I know it was referee Jessica Carr, and I don't know who the other fucking guy was. I didn't look fucking twice because there was a lot going on. But we'll just call him Jason Jackass for now. But I mean to perfection, guys. They timed it beautifully. Drew is pinning Knight. Sheamus is pinning Woods, and if you look at the referee, you can look at it, you can go back slow motion, it don't matter. It was simultaneously, guys, it hit 3. It was done beautifully. It was almost like they practiced this, rehearsed it 80,000 times backstage before they actually went out and did it. Crowd was chanting, triple threat, triple threat. Now, BC usually hates schmaz matches, but this actually works. I'm growing into this. If they wanted to do Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus, Sheamus going for an IC title just seems so much like a consolation prize. Just a couple years ago, he's going for the world title. He's hoisting up world title gold at WrestleMania. And here he is trying to get the mid-card title, and he can't even be the number 1 contender. He's in there with fucking Sheamus and Gunther. But the more I think about it, man, it would be such a physical, high-octane, just badass match. And Mania's already looking stacked. I wouldn't mind if they want to go triple threat. But they're going to prolong it if so. Because next week, Adam Pearce said, okay, I'm going to take the 2 winners from last night. Somehow there's 2 winners. And I'm going to put them in a one-on-one match. So next week, we're going to see Sheamus versus Drew. The winner of that will finally be announced as the number 1 contender for Gunther's IC title. So guys, that was a lot to take in the first matchup of the night, that fatal 5-way. A lot of fans are probably upset that there was a second referee in the match, and it's like, what the fuck? But that's how it was booked. The referees did beautifully. Unlike AEW, man. If you want my true feelings, my honest thoughts on AEW officials, you might want to watch that video from yesterday. Listen to that at least. The podcast that was put up yesterday on this very channel, on this platform. Because, God, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about AEW officials. At least these referees, they played this beautifully. They did exactly what they were told. They did not botch it. They were perfectly timed. And now it's just the ball is in 3H's court. Are you going to go Drew? Are you going to go Sheamus? Are you doing a triple threat? Hopefully we find out once and for all next week. Backstage, Paul Heyman cuts an interview with the ultra beautiful Kayla Braxton. The focus is less on Sami Zayn and more on Cody Rhodes in this backstage interview. This was well played because as the Sami Zayn bloodline story rages on with the utmost suspense still, you gotta show some love, and even more so to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns' WrestleMania match. It's almost like sometimes, yes, the Bloodline Sami storyline is overshadowing Cody Rhodes and Roman. That should not be happening. So it's a balancing act, right? So I feel that Paul switching gears on Kayla was so well done in that interview. Put the focus back on Cody. Sami has his own side business with the Usos. We then get introduced to the very first inductee into this year's WWE Hall of Fame class of 2023. 21 days, by the way, away from the Hall of Fame. Again, tell me you don't give a shit about the Hall of Fame without actually telling me you don't give a shit about the Hall of Fame. It's so sad. 3 weeks before the event, which is just going to be placed right after SmackDown for a half an hour. So it's clear they don't give a fuck about this. And the first inductee is Rey Mysterio. What the fuck? Could it not be more... How do you the guy is still on the roster full time. Like, at least let him retire, man. At least act like the Hall of Fame is a real thing. At least give it some type of prestige, man. Rey Mysterio, guys, I could not be more against this. Not because he's not deserving. Obviously he is. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. If that was such a thing in pro wrestling, I can't even use the term first ballot because the WWE Hall of Fame is becoming more and more of a joke every year. But of course, Rey Mysterio is ultra respected. We all love Rey Mysterio. Of course he should be in the Hall of Fame. Eventually. Not this year. He's still wrestling. You got to save the last several stars that we actually have. You got to save them for down the line, guys. Again, who do you have left? Batista's going to be this year or next year. So then you only have like John Cena, Randy Orton, and I guess The Rock, and a few other names that you guys could come up with that are headliners, guys. Headliners. Like, you would actually buy a ticket just to see that son of a bitch because it's such a big name. We don't have a lot left. Rey could have been one of those guys, or at least like that and another big name, maybe, right? But to just give it away because you want to help out a Dominic storyline, and you don't care about the Hall of Fame this year anyway. You've already shown that. You've shown that by the lack of giving a fuck, and how many times you've taken a shit on the Hall of Fame this year. WWE just does not care about it, and now they're just using it for a storyline, obviously. I cannot be more against this decision, not because of the dude himself. Of course Rey Mysterio should be in, but let him retire like next year, for instance, and then wait a couple of years, and then when Michael Cole says in the 2027 or 2028 Hall of Fame, first inductee is, you fade to black, booyaka, booyaka. Rey Mysterio's visual and graphic goes up. Right? It's a cool moment to see Rey after years of being retired, man. Hear some Rey stories, see him again, hear him. No, we're going to get him this year. And then, guys, when he's finally retired in a year or 2 years, maybe he doesn't want to retire for 3 years. Who knows? That's it. He's already a Hall of Famer, so you're not going to see him in that aspect. No, that's it. Rey just retires. Undertaker, he retires, you snapped your finger, you blinked your eye, and Undertaker was already in the Hall of Fame. Just as fast as he retired, he's already in the Hall of Fame. I mean, these are botches. Let it wait a little bit. So when it's announced years down the line, man, it's such a big deal. That's why in like pro sports, like football, man, they wait 5 years. Or baseball does it, right? There's different rules for every sport, I know. But a lot of them have 5-year rules. You're retired, and you have to be retired for 5 full years. And then when your name is announced, it's such a big deal. You know, it's cool to see you again. They want to see you. They want to hear your words. I mean, Rey Mysterio is going into the Hall of Fame, and then fucking Rey Mysterio is on a billboard for SummerSlam and Survivor Series and Rumble. Guys, we all love Rey. We can't wait for he's in the Hall of Fame, we all would say, right? This is a botch. I don't like this at all, man. This is so weird, and it just takes another big name for the future. And you haven't built anybody for the last 10 years larger than life. So I mean Bray and Roman down the line. Okay, but it's good. It's a short list for the future. But we're just wasting people like Rey Mysterio, man. I am mind boggled by this decision. Anyway, the Judgment Day hits the ring. Then Zelina Vega and LDF hit the ring. We get a match to end hour number 1 between Santos Escobar, Wilde, and Del Toro versus Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio scores the pin. Post-match, Dominic calls Rey Mysterio into the ring. He says the only Hall of Fame you belong to is the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame. Now, BC did some investigating, and there's no actual Hall of Fame called the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame, in case you're wondering. I did a lot of, Googling and whatnot. There's no Deadbeat Dad Hall. I think it was just for the promo. I think he was just making a joke. Obviously. Oh, we joke, man. It's funny because before he said that, BC actually said the words before I knew where he was going with that. He's like, the only Hall of Fame you belong in. And I just literally shouted out to the TV before I'm like, Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame. And sure enough, he said it. I was like, too funny. And then, how did it end? He says, I should have been Eddie's son. To his dad, Ray. He said, I should have been Eddie's son. And the whole crowd's like, ooh, burn. And then he shoves Rey into the ropes, and then he goes to like fly into Rey, but Rey like gets out of the way, and Dominic like falls out of the ring. It was a weird finish, bro. I have no idea. And then we go into the fucking oh no, the match was already done. They already beat LDF, so they look like fucking idiots. And then Rey's like, let me go into the ring. I don't need you guys. And fucking Santos is like, okay. And they're all on their knees like, all right. Get on your feet. Why are you all on your fucking knee? It was so weird, man. The whole thing, it's sitting in their lap, Dominic and Rey, and it's been going so good. Last night was just a lot of weird shit with those two. Hour number 2, Strowman and Ricochet versus Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders, guys, had to win this match. Ivar literally crushes Ricochet with a top rope splash. I cannot express this enough. The Viking Raiders had to win this match. I was prepared, unfortunately, to say that they're done last night. They're done. Like Exile. Like, you know, in the pro wrestling video games, like WWE 2K or whatever, you know how they give them ratings? Like every wrestler has a 95 or 98, 99. Some wrestlers only have like an 82, 83. The Viking Raiders have lost so much that I'm pretty sure they have a negative 99. And if they lost one more match, 2K would have to boot them. Or WWE would have to boot them from the fucker. Whoever makes the game these days would have to boot them from the video game because their rating is so bad. Negative 100. We laugh, we joke a little bit, but the Viking Raiders have been so sadly misused. They've come back 4 different times. Every time they come back, it's... first of all, they gave them like 3 different names when they first arrived on the scene. Then they give them different monikers. Then they give them a manager. All these reasons why we should care about them. And then performance-wise, the booking does not care about them. So why should we? They're just mayors of Jobberville. And it got to the point where I'm like, all right, man, this is so sad to see them even go out there and try to be badass when they're not anymore, unfortunately, because that's how they're portrayed. Long story short, I was prepared last night in my notes to say, I'm done with the Viking Raiders. No matter what happens from here on out, they cannot lose against Braun Strowman and Ricochet out of nowhere, nonsensically in the middle of SmackDown. I'm done. But I didn't have to worry about that. They won last night convincingly. Ricochet absolutely squashed by Ivar. Let's continue that, please. Let's stop 50-50 booking them. Let's fucking push a badass team. The Viking Raiders, look at them. Look what they can do. They're actually really good. They can carry storylines. They can check off every box if you just let them. It'll be interesting to see if they're 50-50 booked going forward, or is this the start of a push? Backstage, Gunther demands to know who his opponent is for WrestleMania. Adam Pearce says next week Sheamus will face Drew McIntyre one-on-one and will go on to face Gunther at 39. Don't be shocked if it's another type of a schmaz finish and we end up with a triple threat when it's all said and done. Charlotte Flair versus Shotzi is next. Rhea Ripley is at ringside. Charlie taps out Shotzi in roughly 4 minutes. This was nothing more than a Flair exhibition. I felt incredibly bad for Shotzi. It seemed like she was just going through the motions last night, and I cannot blame her at all. Rhea gets into the ring post-match. The two exchange some words before Charlie walks off. Again, Shotzi's the story for BC here, man. I mean, Charlie just goes up to Adam Pearce last night and says, I want a match tonight. And Adam Pearce is like, okay, I'll find somebody. Shotzi goes out there, gets whooped in 4 minutes. Complete exhibition for Charlie. While Charlie is putting on the figure 8 leg lock, she's talking shit to Rhea, who's at ringside at the commentary table in front of it. I mean, just like, watch this. Watch what I do to this clown, right? And she fucking puts her in the figure 8. I mean, why use Shotzi like that, right? Why not have Adam Pearce say, hey, you know what? There's some local talent around that's seeing how things are done. They were brought in by maybe one of the wrestlers brought in some local talent to see how things, and they're willing to face you. How fun would that be? So, Charlie, you get to pick one of these 3. And Charlie's like, you know what? All 3 of them. Yeah, I might lose. Yeah, the advantage is against me, but I'm going to show everybody I'm a fighting champion, and I want to start rocking. Every show, I'm ready to rock right now, leading up to Mania. So she takes on 3 jabronis, local talents. But you didn't have to sacrifice an actual wrestler like Shotzi, bro. Come on. Main event, segment was reserved for Jey Uso to explain his actions from Monday night turning on Sami. The Usos in the ring. Jey cuts a passionate promo asking the crowd and those listening and watching on their big screens at home, what would you do? What was I supposed to do? I didn't want to. I had to do what I did. They turned their focus to Cody Rhodes, which again, smart. Paul Heyman did this earlier, interviewed by Kayla Braxton. Switch it from Sami to Cody. Usos did the same thing. Switched it over to Cody Rhodes. Cody's music hits, right? Wrestling has more than one royal family. And here comes Cody Rhodes. Oh! Cody Rhodes hits the ring, says, you answer to Roman Reigns. I don't. These people don't want to hear us argue. They want to see us fight. Jimmy says, hey, Cody, take one more step and you won't make it to WrestleMania. Sami Zayn hits the ring from the crowd, goes directly for Jey Uso. Cody follows suit, hitting the ring, taking out Jimmy. They battle outside and even through the crowd before returning to the ring to set up the money shot to take us off the air. Sami and Cody amped up in the ring with the WrestleMania sign, the WrestleMania big fucking sign illuminating behind them as Sami and Cody are talking shit inside the ring to the bloodline outside. And that's how we fade to black and go off the air. So I thought that the story was told good with the bloodline and even including Cody. That the big question mark BC has is Cody is taking on Roman one-on-one. We already know that at Mania. Okay, we now know that the focus is now Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag titles at Mania. They keep going with Cody saving Sami, and Owens for the last two shows has not even really been a part of it. I take that back. Monday, Sami did try to get Owens involved. Owens said no. Cody ultimately saves him on Monday night. But last night, no even mention of Owens, no nothing. This was just Cody saving Sami, or actually Cody went out there. He was about to take on both of them. Sami came through the crowd. I don't think he cared about saving Cody from anything. Sami just wanted to revenge on Jey. But my point is, it's Cody and Sami taking on the Usos the last two shows. With only 3 weeks away from WrestleMania, and that's supposed to be the title match, Owens and Zayn versus Usos, you're going to have to, like Monday, like sooner rather than later, like right now, you have to start incorporating Kevin Owens a lot more. I like how it was a slow burn, slow build, right? Because you believe that Owens wants nothing to do with Zayn because given their history. So I understand it's realistic that Owens wouldn't just jump at Sami's beck and call to try to take out the bloodline together. But we're starting to hit a time frame, a time crunch. It's about to be a speed trap because you're only going to have 3 weeks before Mania now. Eventually, you're going to have to take out Cody helping Sami. You're going to have to include Kevin Owens. Because right now it's looking like they're doing a tag match with Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. Cody goes for two, right? One night he's going for the tag titles with Sami, and then the next night he's going for individual gold against Roman. Because there's no... you're going to have to somehow take out Cody and put in Owens. I hope you guys are keeping track. It's just weird to me. But they want people... They're just going with their 1-2 punch right now. We've seen this for decades in WWE, right? You used to see Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior together all the time because that was the 1-2 punch. When Savage was a big face, you saw Hulk Hogan and Savage together all the time, right? The Mega Powers. Hulk Hogan and The Rock, always somehow together, side by side or against each other, but they were always, so Vince always likes to have his 1-2 punches. He clearly sees that Cody and Sami are the cream of the crop right now. So he likes the build to WrestleMania to have them two together any which way. But eventually you got to start putting in Kevin Owens. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you. B motherfucking C. That is the SmackDown review for Friday, March 10th. Which again, guys, as of today, we are 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. So, I mean... if shit needs to kick into high gear, it needs to happen like yesterday. Now's the time. But that's the show. You see, we went over it kind of quick, the review. There wasn't a lot that happened. The biggest story is Rey going into the Hall of Fame, and it's just befuddling. Not again that he's not deserving. It's so weird. And it just, overall, it's not best for the Hall of Fame for sure. And then on top of that, Charlie Flair just has a weird victory over Shotzi to show Rhea that she means business. Cody is helping Sami. No mention of Owens. I don't know how that helps out intrigue for the tag title match. The Gunther situation with the IC title, we're just as confused today as we were last night, as we were a week ago. Gunther still 3 weeks away from Mania, has no opponent. And we're going to have to wait another week before we even supposedly find the number one contender, or contenders with an S. So by the time the match is officially announced, we'll have 2 weeks before Mania. I don't know, man. I guess the storyline that's the storyline. There's no building a storyline with Gunther. The storyline is who's going to be the number one contender. I feel we could do better, man. So this show was ultimately a miss for BC, a rare miss for SmackDown, but it's close to Mania. I think that alone will garner interest and should still put them around 2.4. 2.3 would be their low end. Maybe they somehow hit 2.5. But 2.4-ish, I think they should still be around. I just don't think that this show landed. And I'm hoping that changes for next week. But that's what I got for you guys. You guys go about your weekend, smash it out. There could be more content this weekend, as in over the next 24 hours. There might be something else that I want to put out to you guys if I have the time. So make sure you're subbed and notified. Until next time, top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you. Think, be, live. Amped always. Amped up with BC. We out.